Consort Radahn is the hardest From Software boss ever made. So I figured, if I can show you how to beat him at level 1, then you'll definitely be able to beat him. So first things first, it's going to be a parry guide. I'm using the Misery Chord because it's got the highest crit rating, and I'm using Carrion Retaliation, I think, because it means I can use the Brass Shield. So that's the setup, and now we'll get into it. So there's a few different ways he can open the fight, but the most common one is his Meteor Dive, and it's really simple. You just roll into it. I'm not going to go over that too much. You'll get it straight away. You just roll into it. He can. Another thing you can start with, or it's quite common, is the Lion's Claw, and that one similarly, just as it's about to slam, you roll it. I would practice rolling to the side because in phase 2 there'll be an AoE, and that'll catch you if you roll forward, so just get used to rolling to the side, and he can follow up with the second one, so just be prepared for that. So let's talk about the most common move and the easiest to parry, and the one you probably get most of your parries from. Oh, by the way, it takes 3 parries to get a riposte. But basically it has 2 combos that starts with a quick sword swipe from his right, or your left as you're looking. Now, both combos start the same, and you can actually parry that first swipe. So if you can get that down, it will make the fight a lot easier and a lot quicker. Now, because I was doing it on level 1, I was favouring consistency over speed, and I found just sometimes it was a bit too fast for me, and obviously I'm dying at 1 hit and you're dead. So I decided to roll the first hit, because you can roll a bit later, and then of those 2 combos, the most common is he will follow up with bringing both his swords over his opposite shoulder, so his left shoulder, and he'll bring them both down. And that is quite an easy, well, it's a really easy parry. Most of my parries come from that move, and the timing is really simple. It's just like most timings for parries, and it's he'll hold it up, and as he comes to swipe it down, just as he comes down, you hit your parry, and that's bread and butter. His other follow-up from that quick swipe can't be parried, so you need to be able to recognise a difference, and that one's a series of dodges. So he'll do the quick swipe from his right, and instead of bringing 2 swords up for a big hit, he'll just do single sword, and then he'll follow up with a double. He'll spin around and finish with a double, and the timing, it's just a series of dodges, so it's like dodge, dodge, dodge for the double, and then you wait, and then you dodge the final one. He can then follow up after that, so don't punish, because he then can come into another slow slam. Again, it's a dodge, super easy. This next one is another super easy one, and another really common one, and you'll get a lot of parries from this. And it's a really slow and... bloody hell. It's a really slow and really telegraphed swing around his head, and then he'll slam it down. And you just stand and wait for it, and then as it comes down, bang, parry. Another really common one is he has a cross and then a swipe. And a bit like the combo I spoke about earlier, you can actually just parry that. And again, it's quite common, so if you can do that, you'll get loads of extra parries, more than me. So I just rolled into him. I mean, either way it's easy. I just roll for safety, but the parry is the usual timing, and the roll is the usual timing as well. And it's really telegraphed. It's the only move where he'll cross the swords in front of him. You know what's coming. Another common move is the meteor attack. So he'll get some purple meteor around his swords, and he'll slam them into the ground, and then he will pull them out and fly up in the air and bring loads of meteors with him. And it's super easy to dodge, so he'll slam them into the ground, and you'll learn the time. But as he pulls them up, you just roll into him to miss the hitbox, and then you just turn around and start running backwards as fast as you can. He'll stay in the air for a while, so you've got ages to make distance. And then, as soon as he starts throwing the meteors, you just move 90 degrees, it doesn't matter which direction, wherever you've got the most space, and then just start running 90 degrees, and then as the meteors are getting towards you, you're just going to jump, and that's fairly consistent. There is a follow-up to that in phase 2, but in phase 1, it's super easy to dodge. Next we have his stomp. Again, super easily telegraphed, so he'll lift his leg up off the floor, and then he'll stomp down. and that will create an AoE, and you just need to roll into it. But make sure you roll into it, because in the second phase, again, there's an AoE around it, a holy AoE. So just practice rolling into it, and then he follows that up usually with either the slow overhead I just spoke about, which is a super easy parry, or the combo with the fast swipe from his right into the parry. So the stomp is usually a good sign. It usually means you'll get a parry off on whatever the next follow-up is. Next, we've got his moves from his left side. These are going to cause you some problems, and if you've watched any other videos, you'll know, because there's one particular one that's really difficult. Again, I keep saying this, but you can parry it. It's just really fast, and I wouldn't. Well, I mean, I didn't do it because it was just too dangerous for me. But it's basically a one from his left. It's a 1-2, and he finishes with a cross swipe. And it's fast, but you can just do 3 dodges and dodge all 3. And then actually after that, you've got time for a heal, time for a punish. It's just recognizing the speed of that first swipe. The next of his left-sided attacks it's a combo that starts with a stab. Now that stab is quite highly telegraphed and quite slow, and it's actually really easy to just parry that, and if you parry that, then that knocks him out of the combo. So I would heavily recommend getting used to that. For some reason I couldn't quite, it's not hard, it's not fast, something about my muscle memory, I couldn't quite get it. So sometimes I will get it and it's easy. If not, it's super easy to dodge, but he will do the stab, you dodge that. He will follow up with a weird swipe, but like an inside swipe, and that will create a trail of fire that will then explode. So I would always roll the stab forwards, then roll to the left for the scrape, for the swipe, and then just circle around out of the way of the explosion, and then you can actually punish that. But definitely just try and parry the stab. That's the easiest way. Another fairly uncommon one is kind of a gravity slam, and it kind of sucks you into him. You can do this in both phases, and it's really easy to spot because he stamps his foot before he pulls it, and you just roll it, and it just iframes it. If you do get sucked in, basically for both phases, you've just got to turn around, run as far away from him as possible. He will come up and he will slam. Before he slams, just jump and keep running in the second phase, and they'll miss you. But it's actually super easy if he clinks his swords together, stamps his foot, and you just roll it, and it's easy. He has 2 more moves, I think 2 more from the left side as well, and both of them start with both swords up here. Now they're both quite slow, but one is much slower than the other. The not as slow one is an easy parry. It's just you're going to be tempted to hit parry because he pauses, but it is actually easy. As soon as he comes down, parry. That is another reason why it's relatively rare, but it's easy. And the other one looks very similar, but he'll hold it there for much longer, and you need to dodge it, and then he'll follow up at the opposite side, exactly the same. Or maybe he goes over, but anyway, it's 2 double swipes, and you need to dodge both of them. You can't parry those. They're really common in phase 2, and they have an AoE in phase 2, a holy AoE, but it's literally just 2 dodges, and then you can punish. Right, so all of that stuff, that will take you hours to practice, and you will probably die many times. All that was just a warm-up, because that was just phase 1. And phase 1's actually easy. It's like millennia easy. But no, so joking aside, phase 2 is where you will die a lot. And you'll get to a point where phase 1 is just a formality, because phase 2 is just anyway, so a lot of the moves are the same. Everything that he does in phase 2 has holy damage and AoEs willy-nilly everywhere. So directional rolling is way more specific now, and you're gonna get battered. So let's start the phase. So usually, I mean, it does depend, but most of the time, it will start with his holy rise into the air, and a big kind of holy circle will spread out, and it will finish with a holy explosion before it comes down. That's the most common. It depends where you finish phase 1, but that's the most common, and he's going to do it loads throughout the whole of phase 2 to get used to it. Now it's super easy to dodge, but you need to recognize it and move quick, because basically the second he starts rising up into the air, he kind of glows yellow. You've just got to start pegging it, and if you start running as soon as he moves, you'll be absolutely fine, because basically there's effectively you've got the diameter of the circle effect. You've got to get out of the circle, and if you get out of it, the explosion will happen and you'll miss it. And it's just about getting out there as fast as possible. But if you're going in the wrong direction and then it starts, or you're just a little bit too late, you're gonna die. You can roll it, you can iframe it, but you're gonna die. But just start running basically. It doesn't matter which direction. A couple of new attacks in phase 2 is he has 2 kind of I don't know what you would call it, like disc attacks. It's like a holy kind of arc. It'll fire forward, and they're two very similar. The way you tell them apart is one, he holds it for much longer, and then the one he throws then is instant, and it's the whole map. It's like an AoE of the whole arena, and you just roll it, you just iframe it. So it's like holds it, and then he throws it out, and you iframe it. That's really easy. The second one is much harder, because it looks like the first one. It's the same thing, but he holds it less time, and he throws it out, and it's much slower. Now, it's easy to iframe. You just roll through it or roll away, whatever, you can iframe it. The problem is he always follows it up with another clone attack. And that clone attack is he dashes to the side, and it's easy to recognize, and he will do that. He can do that without the disc attack, but he dashes to the side, and then he'll throw 2 clones at you. And if he does it on its own, it's easy enough to dodge. It's just he goes aside, and then it's roll. So you just iframe the 2 clones. When he does the disc, the timing is awful, because it's basically like as you're rolling a disc, he's following up with the clone, so it's really fast. So all I can say to that is just be quick. So roll through the disc, roll immediately, and then wait for the second clone and roll. So that's the 2 discs and the sideways clone. The next new phase 2 attack is another clone attack, but it's different, and it's not that dangerous. So basically he'll raise up over his right shoulder, and then basically he holds up here, fills with holy, and 4 clones will kind of spin around in place, and then they'll massively just dive forward, kind of across half the arena. It's easy enough, basically, if you're locked on, which you should be, you're just going to strafe around to his right or left. You just strafe around while all his clones are doing their ballet, and then you don't need to dodge or you don't need to roll it. He'll just dive away from you, basically. Easy. The meteor, the big meteor pull. So the start of it's exactly the same. You dodge it the same. So you roll when he comes out of the ground. You start running as fast as you can. Then you turn 90 degrees as the meteors start coming to you, and then you jump. But what will then happen is he will follow up with a clone attack, and there's 4 of these. Well, there's more than that, but basically the first 4 should miss you if you've run fast enough. So it basically like goes bang, 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 bang. Then you roll, and then you roll again into him for the holy AoE. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, roll, and then roll into him. Another new attack for phase 2 is the kind of Mikola dive bomb, and it's a proper weird one. It's easy to dodge. It's actually a really nice attack in phase 2 because it gives you a bit of a rest. But Mikola will raise up above Radahn, and then it's like a jump and it's a grab, and you just roll through it. If he grabs you, I mean, I'm sure you know, if he grabs you, you get this weird burn on your head, and then if he grabs you again, it's insta-death. It doesn't actually damage you the first time, but it's insta-death the second time, unless you've got a great rune on, I think, but it doesn't matter because it's super easy to, you just roll. Okay, so the next one is the one. It's the worst one. It's the worst one. It will probably, well, it probably will. It killed me the most. If you're doing a level 1 run, it's gonna kill you a lot. But it's quite rare. But he will do it at least once. And it's just, I just couldn't dodge it. I mean, we're talking like hundreds of attempts. I just couldn't get it. Eventually, I got it, but it's gonna be a stinker. And basically, it's a holy 6-move combo. And he starts off bringing both his swords up over his right shoulder, very similar to the last move I spoke about, the clone. And then he effectively just goes into a 6-swipe combo. I'll show you, but basically swipe, 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 finishes with a jump in the air and a slam down. And after a lot of trial and error, the best way I managed to get it relatively consistent was literally just 6 rolls back to back, around to his right, your left. It's kind of almost like panic rolling, because you almost roll in. One of the rolls is not even an attack, but it was way easier for timing just to do 6 back-to-back rolls and to try and time the individual attacks. But to get it to work and to miss all the AoEs, because AoEs are going off everywhere, you've basically got to start your 6 rolls as soon as you see him go up into the air, and that's why it's difficult, because it looks quite similar to the other attack. But yeah, you've just got to, you see him go up and you've just got to start almost spam rolling 6 times round to his right. And then the last attack, and again this one will happen every single fight, and he basically does it when he gets down to probably about quarter health, and he basically will put his swords in the air, slam them down, and then jump, and he basically disappears. The initial slam, there's no hitbox, and basically you just got to absolutely peg it as fast as you can, and you want to try and find. You need a long way to go. So if you're kind of in a corner or you run towards a wall, you're gonna die. So you've got to kind of quickly navigate where some open spaces and just absolutely peg it. And the way I dealt with it is you run. As he comes down, there's just loads of explosions. My strategy was to jump just to increase distance when I heard the slam for the first explosion, and then I would just spam roll because there'll be a few explosions around you. For me, it was fairly consistent if you had a lot of distance. The only time I died is if I kind of hadn't run very far, like I was delayed or I got stuck in a corner. If you've got open space and you run quickly, you should be fine. And that's it. It's as easy as that. But seriously, like it's really hard, but you can definitely do it. Follow this guide, practice, and let me know in the comments how you get on. It literally took me like 200 attempts for level 1. But yeah, thank you for watching. I will post I'll post the video of just my level 1 run where I did it. I'll post that on the channel, so if you want to watch that and not the breakdown, just to see it kind of in full speed, then watch that. If not, hopefully you found this helpful, and yeah, stay tuned for more, and I'll see you in the next one.